So today we're going to show you how to fix a hole in the wall with a piece of drywall I have here, and we're going to knock a hole into it and fix it, and I'm going to show you how I do that, but I'm going to have to prop it up. So let's make something real quick. I've made a temporary wall. Okay, here we go. There's no turning back. We're going to knock a hole in the wall. What in the world just happened? So how do you repair a hole like this? Call a professional. I have no idea. Okay, I do have an idea. So this is a 1/2 inch piece of drywall. It's 1/2 inches thick. It's gypsum. Let's look it up on the internet. Well, now we know something. So what you're going to want to do first is we're going to square it off, okay? And instead of just cutting a square and trying to find a piece to fit it, we're going to cut the piece first and then trace over the hole, and then we'll cut the hole out square. So this is about let's do a 7x7 piece of spare scrap drywall. And have one right here. Handy right here on the set. Okay, so doesn't need to be anything pretty. We're just going to make it 7x7. Now we take the 7x7 piece of drywall. We're just going to trace over it. 2 ways to cut into drywall. This drywall saw, which is cheaper, and for a job like this, that's all you'll need. Or if you have a multi-tool handy, just use this one with the blade on it. If you don't have one of these, you need one. What for? For everything. Couple of 2x2s. We'll cut it just a little bit bigger than it has to be. Nothing fancy, because this is going to be behind the wall. In case you have a saw right behind you, that's handy too. So always have a saw right behind you. Oh, and we haven't had a drill. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Remember, we don't have access to the back of this wall, so we'll take the scrap piece, we'll put it in the back, and we're going to screw through the drywall into the backer. Hopefully your wall isn't moving like this. That wouldn't be good. So here's our scrap piece we cut out. We're going to attach it to those 2 deals with some more drywall screws. Now we have our patch. So want to clean up the edges, because this has to be nice and smooth when we get done, remember. So we'll take the blade and kind of cut out all the pieces that stick up. Step 1, the fibatape. So we're going to stick the tape on. And the reason I like this thin mesh fibatape is, number 1, it's thin, and you can push the mud into it. And it will disappear into the wall if you do this right. So we're using 5-minute mud, and it's a patching compound. It is not easy to sand. It says easy sand on it. You don't want to sand it much. You want to build it up with multiple thin coats. So I'm going to do 3, might even do 4, but we'll probably just do 3 on this one. And when you lay the tape down, don't overlap the edges of the tape. We want to go as thin as possible, so we're just going to butt them up right against each other. This is to hide the crack. And if you don't get a little bit here and there, that's fine. We're doing it for the majority of the seam, okay? So here's the tape going over there, and I want to not overlap it. I want to butt up against it. We're trying to do as little as possible. So there you go. Now we have the tape on. Let's see if you can see the tape. Okay. That piece is coming off. Now we'll mix up some mud and put on the first coat. I like to keep my stuff in a separate container with a lid. Here's a Folgers coffee thing, and this just always is ready. It's dry, so it's not gonna go old on you. And you just take a little bit at a time and put it into the tray. I'm not using a lot, just a little bit, because we're just gonna use a little bit onto the wall and you don't wanna waste it. I mean, that whole bag cost me, I don't know, $8. So that'll last for a long time. I always think I'm never gonna use that whole bag, but I do. So I'm just gonna add just a little bit of water at a time. Mix it in small batches, because remember, it's gonna dry fast. It's gonna dry fast in this thing too. So we're gonna spread some on, we're gonna clean this out, and then by the time we've cleaned it out, we can put another coat on there, because it's 5-minute mud, and we've been mixing for about a minute, so now it's about 4-minute mud. So we wanna get it on there pretty quick. We want to spread it thin. So I'm going to use the smaller knife and we're going to spread it thin. Remember, I mixed not very much in that container and we're not using hardly much. So you don't need to mix a whole bunch. So I'm pushing it through the mesh tape. I'm not putting much on, I'm just pushing. This is the first coat. Remember, we're gonna build up from this. That's good. So remember, get this out of the pan or it's gonna dry in there, and it's not fun to get it out of the pan when it's dry. And it's always handy to have a wastebasket right behind you, along with the saw. All right, and now coat 2. It's been about 4 minutes. It dries pretty fast. I cleaned out the pan. We're gonna do another coat. Just a little bit of water and a little bit of mud. Mix it up with a knife. So this time around, I'm gonna use the bigger knife. The bigger knife is the key. We're going to put too much on and then take it all off. Okay, so show you something. So the knife is flexible. The key is to place your finger on one side of the knife as you pull it across. So we've got the regular drywall here and the patch here. We're going to want to push on this side of the knife as we pull on it. Hopefully you can see that. Like this. You know, so more of an angle like this when you do it. Okay? Well, I got to do this fast because it's drying. So, and then hopefully, then back to the pan. I was keeping this clean. Okay, so I'm gonna push on this side. And then I'm pushing in the middle. So on here, I'm pushing up on the top. On the bottom, I'm pushing with this finger. And in the middle, I'm using 2 fingers. So, and again, this is just coat number 2. Okay? So you don't have to cover everything up. You're going to slowly build it up. So I'm mixing up the final batch. This is coat number 3. This has been about 4 minutes. I'm telling you, it dries pretty quick. So we're going to goop it on. And if you can move your wall closer to you, that would be nice. Okay. So I skipped the 4th coat. I figured 3 coats was good enough. It's pretty smooth. Can you see? You really barely need to sand it, but you know, that's what we bought the sanding block for. Just knocking the edges off. Oh, so smooth. I must be a professional. Hey, if you got some use out of this video, click the like button below and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you later.